Let me make this very clear. The latest name of this bill being offered up by Democrats may sound good. It's called Protecting Our Kids Act. There is nothing good about it. In fact, it does absolutely nothing to protect our children, okay? But guess what? The Democrats now just passed this bill moments ago through the House. They rushed it through. I guarantee you nobody could read this thing. So here's what this bill does do. I'll give you a little tip into what's happening in Washington. It seeks to dismantle the Second Amendment and severely limit your ability to protect yourself. And I mean this. What the Democrats are now proposing will give the evildoers the upper hand in this country. Firearms are the great equalizer, folks. Consider it vaporized if Democrats and some feeble Republicans get their way on this bill. See, here's what the proposed bill would do that just passed the House. It would outlaw what the left calls high-capacity magazines. I call them standard-capacity magazines. The bill only allows magazines that hold 5 rounds. That is less than some revolvers. It is totally offensive. The bill would establish safe storage requirements, even in your own home, and it would raise the age to purchase semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21. Now, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan summed up the anti-gun owner attack on our rights. He summed it up like this.
That Democrats have rushed to a markup today in what seems more like political theater than a real attempt at improving public safety or finding solutions. The Democrats never once reached out to us to seek our input on the legislation we are considering here today. We all want to keep children safe in school, but this bill wouldn't do that. This bill is just another Democrat attack on the Second Amendment, and it's likely just the start. President Biden has said he wants to ban all 9mm handguns. Where does it end?
Well, guess what? It doesn't end. Total confiscation is what they want. A repeal of the second is what they strive for. But let me take each of these provisions one by one and prove to you why they will not work and why they would make us less safe. Magazine capacity limits amount to nothing more than deceitful, feel-good legislation. Why? Because any, even moderately trained gun owner can change out magazines in less than a couple of seconds. See, the evildoer will just most likely carry more magazines. He'll ignore the capacity limits as well, right? If he's not carrying more magazine, he'll just ignore the limits and carry the old ones. But the law-abiding citizen will limit himself to the 5 rounds spelled out in the bill, and that could get him killed. Watch this video and count the shots fired by the officer here. So guess what? That officer just fired 11 rounds, and the attacker is still standing. And yet Democrats want to limit your capacity to 5 rounds. He fired 11. That's more than twice the limit these anti-gunners are proposing. The anti-gun politicians will tell you it will make it harder for the attacker to reload. Nonsensical. Watch my buddy, gun guru, Colion Noir, show you what most moderately skilled gun owners can do for themselves. That, folks, is about 2 seconds, maybe less. You see what I mean? As a lawful gun owner, I want to have the same advantages as the unlawful one, as the criminal. So don't limit magazine capacity. It'll do nothing to keep people safe and only put you and me in danger. And what about these safe storage laws? You would think when armed intruders come into my house, the Democrats think that I have some kind of time to run to my gun safe after a home invasion, open the safe up, load the firearm, then defend myself and my family while I'll tell the intruders, hey, go, guys, just wait a second here, please, for me, while I get my firearm. It's just plain nuts. These lily-livered, out-of-touch politicians have no clue what the real world looks like. I want you to watch this home invasion, okay? You tell me if the armed homeowner, asleep in his bed, had time to go get his gun out of the gun safe. Do you see the power of gun ownership right there? That homeowner who fired those shots from the bedroom most likely saved him and his wife's life because the gun wasn't locked up. Okay, if it was, they'd both be dead. But these anti-freedom lawmakers don't ever want you to see videos like that, right? So now they exploit the latest mass shooting to call an emergency session of the Judicial Committee to sneak through dangerous anti-gun legislation. Listen to their lunacy here. This is Jerry Nadler, the Democrat from New York.
Too soon? My friends, what the hell are you waiting for? You say that none of the solutions proposed here will stop gun violence in America? Well, there, sadly, I agree. This bill will not alone save every life we will lose to gun violence this year, but it will save some. It might have saved those children in Uvalde, and whoever saves one life, it's as if he saved the entire world.
Okay, so as I said, they passed that out of committee now. Now it'll go to the full floor for a vote. So you hear Jerry Nadler, but New York has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. It's a state with some of the lowest rates of gun ownership in the nation. Strictest laws, low rates of gun ownership. Yet the cities in New York are plagued with gun violence. Just go to New York City. Compare that to Wyoming. It has some of the loosest gun laws in the country and the highest rate of gun ownership. You know, 60% of all households in Wyoming have a firearm in it. Wyoming. And yet Wyoming is one of the safest states in the country. How can that be with all those guns?
The bill before us is short-sighted and not solutions-oriented. It's a one-size-fits-all approach that punishes law-abiding citizens while doing nothing to make our communities safer.
Thank you, Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio. And then there is the portion of this bill that would raise the age to buy a semi-automatic rifle to 21. Now, according to the Crime Prevention Research Center, of the 89 mass public shootings in America since 1998, age restrictions would have been relevant in only 8 of the attacks. Most mass shootings, the center found, are carried out by 21 to 25-year-olds, then 36 to 45-year-olds next. And the Democrats' solution, of course, relies on the honor system. We're asking criminals to be honorable here if you go with the Democrats' plan. They want the honor system that any potential killer under 21 will simply obey the laws and not go get their guns, right? They'll go get them someplace else. That's what will happen, like steal it. Colion Noir put it best this way.
These laws, they don't happen in a vacuum. This is real life we're talking about. This is my one life. I get one of these. So I want all the advantages in the world. So no, a high-capacity magazine ban does not make any sense in the world. It makes sense in a vacuum, but in the world, absolutely not.
And guess what? We don't live in a vacuum. We live in the real world that can be, at times, evil and violent, which is why I take it upon myself to be my own personal protection detail, and I urge you to do that as well. So if only our elected so-called leaders would listen to guys like us, like Colion and me. If only they would respect the Constitution and the rights spelled out in it, not just the second either, but all of them. All our rights right now with this administration are under attack.